What if I told you there was a player who in his first 7 pro seasons averaged a 3.53 ERA, a 7.31 K per 9, a whip of 1.31, who won 61 games, also had 0 All-Star nods, and lastly he finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. This individual was never an ace of the rotation, but was usually 3rd or 4th starter during this time. He won a World Series ring in his 2nd pro season and started 2 games in said series. My friends, this is the story of Jaime Garcia, the silent left-handed ace who was known to have baffling stuff, only throwing 90-ish miles an hour at best. I'm guessing most of you have forgotten or have no idea who Jaime was, and we will go into why he truly is a forgotten athlete. Jaime was born in Mexico on July 8, 1986 in Mexico near the border of Texas, and was the second of 3 kids to Jaime Garcia Sr. and Gloria Rodriguez Flores. He attended Charlieland High School in Mission, Texas, and was drafted in 2004 in the 30th round by the Baltimore Orioles. He failed the translated test, and the Orioles opted to not sign him because of that. However, by the time one of the scouts, Joe Alamars, convinced them to sign him, Jaime had already opted to re-enter the draft for 2005. He would then get drafted in this 22nd round by the St. Louis Cardinals, and wouldn't you know it, Joe Alamars was now a part of their staff and pushed them to draft Jaime. In 2006, Jaime started his career in A-ball and was promoted to high A the same season, going 10-8 with a 3.37 ERA, a whip of 1.194, and 25 starts between the 2 leagues. In the following season, he was placed in Double-A, where he once again performed really well with a 3.75 ERA, a 1.33 whip. However, he did not get the run support needed and went 5-9. Jaime started 2008 in Double-A and quickly was promoted to Triple-A, where he put up a 7-6 record with a 3.65 ERA and a 1.34 whip. Also had the best K per 9 in his minor league career at an 8.5. While his overall numbers may not be improving, Jaime was proving to be a steady workhorse who could provide a solid back at the end rotation starter or a steady reliever. And he would get his opportunity to show what he was capable at the big league level in July. Jaime appeared in his first game as a reliever against the Pirates, where he went 2 innings, where he struck out 2, allowed 1 hit, and 1 walk. In this stint, he went 1-1 with a 5.63 ERA and a 1.37 whip. He only had 16 innings and 1 start. However, there was some bad news for the 21-year-old. He would need Tommy John surgery to fix his elbow as he had tore his UCL. This would cause him to miss almost all of 2009 except for some rehab starts towards the end of the season in the minors. Now healthy and ready to go in 2010, Jaime was placed as the 5th starter in the rotation, beating out one Rich Hill. He would make the 3rd most starts, 28 for the Birds, behind the likes of Chris Carpenter and Adam Wainwright. He put up some remarkable numbers and was, by ERA+, the 2nd best starter on the team, with only Wainwright beating him out at 160. Wainwright would go on to finish 2nd in the Cy Young race that year. This time from the Cardinals rotation really deserves a deeper look as it was phenomenal. Jaime ended the year 13-8 with a 2.7 ERA, a 143 AR+, a 1.316 whip, and a 7.3 K per 9. He ended up finishing 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting behind Buster Posey and Jason Hayward, who had some pretty crazy numbers respectively. In 2011, Jaime was forced into being named the 3rd arm in the rotation as Adam Wainwright went down with a UCL tear during spring training. In his first start of the season against the Padres, he threw a complete game shutout where he struck out 9 and only gave up 4 hits. A month later, he had a perfect game going into the 8th before walking a guy and then giving up a hit on the next batter. He still had a complete game shutout. In July, he signed a 4-year extension with a 2-year club option on the back end. It was worth $27.5 million guaranteed, with the max if the options were picked up being $50 million. He ended the regular season going 13-7 with a 3.56 ERA and a 1.32 whip. He also finished 2nd in both shutouts and complete games, where he put up both of the games we mentioned earlier. When the postseason came around, he made starts in NLDS and NLCS, where he had 2 losses in 3 starts. Luckily for the Redbirds, they were able to overcome that and make the World Series. There, he was the only second-born Mexican pitcher to start a World Series game. He pitched 10 innings with 10 strikeouts and a 1.8 ERA, en route to a World Series victory over the Texas Rangers. Unfortunately, his career was once again going to take the hit from the injury bug, and in 2012, after going 7-7 with a 3.92 ERA and a 1.364 whip, In 20 starts, he'd be shut down due to shoulder discomfort. In 2013, things wouldn't get much better, as he would have to get another shoulder surgery to end his season in May after going 5-2 with a 3.58 ERA. In 2014, his season would not get fully started till mid-May, and it would end again in July to get surgery to fix thoracic outlet syndrome in his left shoulder. This was his worst season to date, if you want to counter against him, as he only made 7 starts, going 3-1 with a 4.12 ERA and a 1.053 whip. Now back from another shoulder surgery, the now 28-year-old Jaime Garcia looked to try and hit the reset button on his career. And what a year he would have. He hit some milestones like his 500th career strikeout, his 50th win, and being a part of a combined no-hitter, all being in the minors on a rehab start due to a strained groin he'd received earlier in the season. He reached the 100-inning threshold for the first time since 2012, and had his best season statistically, if not better, than 2011. He went 10-6 with a 2.43 ERA, a 1.049 whip, and unfortunately, he ended up with a career-low K/9 with 6.7. But he was vital to the Cardinals' run for October, winning as a team 10 of his 11 starts in the dog days of summer, leading them to the divisional title and 100 wins. However, they would fall short of reaching the World Series in thanks part to the Chicago Cubs in the NLDS. The team would go on to pick up Jaime's 2016 club option worth $11.5 million. And why wouldn't they? Not after last season's comeback. Well, unfortunately for Jaime, the surgeries, the injuries, they all appear to have caught up with him, as he fell quickly back to earth. He did stay healthy for the whole season, but he just didn't appear to have the command he once had. He gave up hits unlike years past, and really gave up the long ball. He'd go 10-13 with a 4.67 ERA, as well as a 1.375 whip. And while this was the beginning of the juice ball era, I'm not sure if that could totally be blamed for his lack of production. In December of 2016, Jaime would be traded to the Braves for Chris Ellis, John Gant, and Luke Dykstra. Only Gant would provide anything for the Cardinals out of this trade. On July 24th, Jaime would once again be traded, this time to the Twins, alongside Anthony Recker for Huascar Ynoa, probably saying that wrong, who would be meh at best. Ynoa would go on to win a ring with the Braves in 2021. Recker would never play for the Twins, and Jaime, well, he made only one start on July 28th. He was then traded to the Yankees with cash considerations, as well as the Twins eating his salary for Dietrich Enos and Zach Lytle. He was the first person to start 3 consecutive games for 3 different teams since 1895, and broke the record for starting for 3 different teams in 15 days, where the previous record was 28 days. His totals for that season were 5-10, a 4.41 ERA, and a 1.408 whip. In February 2018, Garcia signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Blue Jays. However, he suffered injuries once again and was DFA'd in late August, and later released. He was then picked up by the Cubs on a minor league deal. His 2018 totals were 3-7, a 5.82 ERA, and a 1.537 whip. At 31, the writing was on the wall, especially after playing for 6 teams in 3 years, and he decided to retire in January 2019. In conclusion, I believe had Jaime Garcia stayed healthy for his whole career, I think he would have gotten 1, if not 2 All-Star nods, maybe a Cy Young vote or 2 here and there. He had so much promise, and all of it came crashing down so quickly. What do you think Jaime Garcia could have been for his career had he stayed healthy? Do you have any memories? Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't be afraid to suggest other athletes, as I enjoy looking back at players who had runs and then were forgotten to time.